Coinbase has a chance to crush the SEC in court, to decapitate them, to get their entire case thrown out. And nobody seemingly is talking about it. But what I do know is all of our favorite crypto lawyers are headed to court today to watch, to support Coinbase, and hopefully to see the judge make some epic comments about all the things that the SEC is doing wrong, because that's what we've come to expect in court over the past few months. Now, we're so lucky today. I have legend John Deaton here. He's going to court at 10 o'clock, but he's decided to join us at 9 and discuss what's happening in this case, what it could mean, what the options are, and why it's so huge for the crypto industry. And of course, I've got Texas West Capital on the back end sharing his best trades and charts, and a couple new things today, like a $100 giveaway every single day at the end of the stream. I'm just going to give you guys some of my money, little good faith and karma, get the bull market running again. You guys don't want to miss this stream. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of Wall Streets. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. You'll notice there's a banner going down across the bottom. I'll tell you about our new sponsor later after I'm done with John, but pretty exciting that we're starting to let the sponsors trickle back in after taking what feels like 10 years off of accepting any of them. Guys, today is an absolutely huge day. I'm not going to waste your time, except for to tell you that I'm giving away $100 at the end of every single stream. So you guys have to be there in the comments. We're going to ask you some funny questions. Choose the best comments. We will get to that. But here he is, Mr. John Deaton. Dude, you're ready. You're dressed. You got court today. You're going to cheer. This is like the Super Bowl of crypto lawyerdom, right?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Scott. Listen, you're not overselling what today could represent. Just everyone should know this. In the Ripple case, the judge didn't even have an oral argument for the summary judgment motion. And so motions to dismiss in the Southern District of New York are rarely granted. And this judge has set a 4-hour hearing, 2 hours on each side, which means Judge Falia is really digging into this. And this is going to be exciting.
So, right, obviously this is the big story, but Judge Falia is no stranger to the crypto industry, right? I mean, we've seen it in this district, but as you pointed out to me before the stream, this is the person who did the Uniswap case. Yeah,
there's no judge, in my opinion, in the country that is more knowledgeable about blockchain and crypto than Judge Falia. Because in the Southern District, you know, you've had the Telegram case, you've had the Ripple case, you've had the Terra case. But she ruled on the Uniswap. She dismissed a class action by basically recognizing the decentralized nature of Uniswap and that there really was no one to hold accountable, so to speak. But she made some very important comments in that case. You know, she literally called ETH a commodity. That's intentional. She called it a crypto commodity. And she also said, look, Congress has not told the public what constitutes a security under crypto or not. In other words, she said, we don't know if these are cryptos, securities, commodities, or something else. That's what she said in her decision, and that Congress needed to do its job. In so many words is how you could read it. So the major questions doctrine, the fact that Gary Gensler said that Coinbase and other exchanges fall outside of the regulatory scope of both the SEC and the CFTC. When you add all that up, it makes today very interesting.
So you could effectively have a judge saying the SEC doesn't even have jurisdiction here. They don't even have the right to try this case, basically, because it's not under their jurisdiction. Exchanges are not their business. Get out of here.
Absolutely. And also know this, that there's no case that the SEC can cite in the entire history since Howey. So we're talking 80 years. They don't have a single case where they can cite that secondary sales of an asset, even if it was an investment contract in the at its origin, that these are also subsequent securities per se. You know, they have to do a Howey analysis for each one. But this judge, you know, when you take the blind bid ask, if you look at Judge Torres's decision in the Ripple case, where she said, look, it's a blind bid ask situation. How do you rely on someone that you don't know is selling the token? And so she could take that. She takes the fact that Gary Gensler said that they don't have jurisdiction before he changed his mind and did a 180. You take all the things that have happened in the Ripple case, the Terraforms case, the Uniswap case, and listen, most people are going to tell you that there's a 90% chance that she denies this motion to dismiss.
Of course.
And I've said that it's probably a 40% chance that Coinbase could get a victory. Now, a lot of people disagree with me. They think I'm too high. But you remember in Spaces back in like November or December, I said, listen, this has teeth to it. This could be
You've been saying it for literally months. I mean, you've been talking about this coming for months, and it seems like it just hasn't really gained a groundswell of excitement in the community. Maybe it's because we've been so consumed with the ETF that nobody's paying attention to this, but people forget how we felt 9 or 10 months ago when the SEC came after Coinbase and Binance back to back. At that time, the judges hadn't pushed back in Ripple, the Voyager bankruptcy, Grayscale, none of them. We thought at that time, the consensus in the community was the SEC is going to kill us.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Judge Failure has been paying attention to all this. In the first hearing that she had in this Coinbase SEC case, Scott, she literally said to the SEC, well, wait a minute. 2 years ago, you granted the registration in the IPO. And 2 years later, you're saying the whole business model is illegal? And not just that, Scott, this is what people have failed to understand, is that the SEC allowed Coinbase to accelerate its registration statement. In order for it, if you look at the statutory language, in order for the SEC to grant acceleration, they have to make a finding that the acceleration is in the public's best interest. So 2 years ago, they're like, yeah, let's speed this up because it's in the public's best interest. And then 2 years later, because we have a political hack as the chairman, basically saying, oh, no, the whole business model is illegal. You know, it's
right. Makes perfect sense. So obviously, James Murphy, who I have on all the time, Meta Lawman,
great guy.
I think you guys will probably be hanging out today. Because I know he's going. Yeah. He basically summarized really quickly what could happen today, right? I'll go through them quickly. Option one, judge denies the Coinbase motion. Low bar for the SEC basically just moves on to discovery like Ripple did, right? Judge grants Coinbase motion with prejudice. This means the entire case is dismissed. This is probably the lowest percentage scenario, right? To your point, people think.
Right.
Judge grants motion without prejudice. SEC gets a chance to amend the complaint to cure deficiencies cited by the judge. So the judge basically says, like, these are the parts I don't like about it, but the SEC gets to come back and fix that.
Yeah.
Option four, judge grants motion with respect to the claims relating to the 13 crypto tokens, but denies with respect to the staking service, sort of a mixed judgment, right? You think there's a 40% chance that we get the with prejudice, which would be amazing. But is this a pretty good summary of what you think could happen?
Oh, no, James is on. The only thing I'd say is I think he said that if it's denied, there'd be a year of discovery. I think it probably 18 months to 2 years of discovery.
But Gensler will probably be gone.
Yeah, he's 100% on. You know, here's the thing, that 40% that I'm talking about, I think that option four that you just said to your audience that James came up with is where the judge says, listen, the tokens themselves fall outside the SEC's jurisdiction for all the reasons we've talked about. But the staking issue, it is more of a direct thing with Coinbase, and whether it comes down to whether Coinbase's involvement is more like it was in the staking that Kraken, settled for.
They settled, right.
That they settled for. So I don't see an outright victory where the judge does, granted motion to dismiss 100%. If she is going to give Coinbase a huge victory, it would be that option four that you just articulated that James brought up.
Right. Listen, in my title, it says Coinbase would crush the SEC today, parentheses, huge for altcoins. I think that this would be even bigger for altcoins in a scenario like that than the Ripple judgment. Because this has been the argument against altcoins in the United States, is that they're all unregistered securities. We shouldn't be able to trade them. If the judge comes in at option 2 or 4, I believe are the two. I mean, it's like altcoin palooza as far as regulatory. Yeah.
You're 100% on. This case is minimum 10 times bigger than the Ripple case. And the reason I say that is because the judge in the Ripple case really limited to XRP and the facts in that case, and the SEC didn't do it. And then she, in her second decision, when they were seeking an interlocutory appeal, she basically limited to the facts of the case. Here, we're talking about 13 tokens. You're talking about Cardano, Filecoin,
Matic, I think. Even
Matic,
Solana might have been. I don't remember. Yeah, Solana. I can't remember what was named in Binance and what was named in Coinbase or passively. There's like 50 of them, but I think it was Solana, Matic, Cardano.
Solana, Matic, ICP, Filecoin, Sand. So those are big. I mean, just take Solana and Cardano, Matic, Filecoin. Those are huge. And so if the judge grants the motion to dismiss on the tokens, it is exactly what you described. It is, what was it? Altcoin Palooza? Would you say?
Palooza, like Lollapalooza. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
alt Coachella, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I would imagine if a written decision came out like that, you would see, it would be one of the first times where the altcoins completely disassociated with Bitcoin and did their own independent run, in my opinion.
So why do you think that the judge gave us this gift, that we're going to get to hear this 4 hours of this argument? Because like you said, even in Ripple, they didn't at all. Is this because the legal system has had kind of enough very clearly of the SEC and is actually willing to let people speak at this point?
Yeah, and I think the judge really is wrestling with this and sees this as something that's very unique. It's not a typical motion to dismiss. I mean, you have the Hinman emails talked about this regulatory gap where the SEC's senior counsel for the entire SEC said that altcoins fall in a regulatory gap. That means it's outside the CFT and outside the SEC. And then you got Gensler's sworn testimony saying the same thing. But not just that, I think the judge is paying attention. I mean, I think we've all had enough of the SEC's behavior. I mean, in the Ripple case, you have a federal judge that is probably friends with Judge Failure saying you have no faithful allegiance to the law. You have the grayscale arbitrary and capricious decision. And then you have the debt box situation where they're going in and lying in crypto cases. And so I think the judge is seriously considering that. And that's why I say there's a 40% chance. Any other motion dismissed, Scott, I would be with all the other career securities lawyers saying, you got a 5% chance at best. But I think there's real teeth here, and I think that's why she's not just doing this perfunctory. She's not just saying, "Oh, let me listen to lawyers for 4 hours." She wants to get in here, and I believe she knows that the Supreme Court, if she were to rule the SEC lacks jurisdiction over these tokens, the Supreme Court of the United States is going to uphold her. I can't predict the Second Circuit as confidently as I can the Supreme Court, but it would be a huge deal. Huge. It'd be the biggest victory in crypto.
How good is Coinbase's legal team?
Outstanding. I mean, listen, part of me wants to be tagged in so I can get up there and argue, but at the same time, they're a lot more brilliant than I am. Let me just be honest. Okay. So
yeah, and so we have the fact that this could be thrown out entirely just because the SEC doesn't even have jurisdiction as an exchange in general. Right. Are there other curveballs we could see here? Maybe other reasons that the judge could throw this out that we're not thinking about or that we haven't discussed?
I mean, nothing that I can see that's been briefed and whatnot. But I will tell you this. I predict that the judge makes comments that are going to lit X on fire.
That's what I want. I told you that right before we started. I said, I don't, you're much more bullish and I trust you that this could be completely thrown out. All I want is the sound bites that we can retweet for the next 6 months about how the judge dunked on the SEC once again. Because that's what we've gotten from a lot of previous cases. And it really has teeth. I mean, the court of public opinion is crushing the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, but it's all well deserved. It's not like the SEC is being treated unfairly here. They have intentionally, for whatever reason, decided to go all out against crypto for political reasons, and the judge knows that. That's what I'm getting at. Judge Failure knows that what we're experiencing isn't about the law. When she asked the SEC, wait a minute, how do you grant a registration statement 2 years later, accelerate it for the public good, and then turn around and say the whole damn thing is illegal? And what guidance have you given these market participants? That's what she said. And the SEC said, Well, the guidance is clear. Read Howie, judge. All they got to do is read Howie. And the judge didn't allow that. She said, how do these people, investors, developers, or whoever, how do they know that the SEC isn't going to turn around later and cost something, a security that they've allowed to be in the free market for years? And I think that's part of the Ripple case, where 7.5 years after it's being publicly traded in the country, all of a sudden the SEC says, oh no, it's always been a security. And so I think that the judge is fed up and had enough of the politics. People's lives are at stake. People's financial freedom and financial future is at stake. And I think she's taking it serious. I'm very high on these judges, Judge Torres, Judge Fellier, Judge Netburn, outstanding judges.
And the SEC, when they did list these passively without going after any of these actual platforms or projects themselves, wrecked the price. I mean, they're up now, but people might not remember. And here it is, Metalamian. Here were the 13 tokens: Solana, Cardano, Matic, Filecoin, Sand, AXS, Chiliz, Flow, ICP, Near, Voyager, that's dead, Dash, and Nexa, right? I mean, when they listed these without actually, this was like a really just disgusting strategy by the SEC to just arbitrarily list, 13 to 15 of these in every one of their suits, but not actually go after those people for their unregistered security listing, crush them without any sort of due process, right?
Right. No, 100%. And here's her direct quote in the Uniswap. She said, quote, Congress and the courts haven't made a determination whether crypto tokens are securities, commodities, or something else. And so you could read that one way or the other. You could say, oh, well, the courts are going to decide it. And that's often what happens in regulation by enforcement. Or we really have to wait for Congress to come down and act. And so I just think, listen, I have confirmation bias. Some of this, full disclosure, could be wishful thinking. I don't know. But I really, really believe, as I said months ago, that there's a shot here. There's a real shot. And I'm telling you that if this judge says that the SEC lacks jurisdiction, it is the biggest thing we could have, even if it's a split decision. If she says, well, I'm going to allow you to present the staking case because, maybe a jury could your claims are plausible, because that's all the SEC has to prove, right? And that's why attorneys think that this is usually a slam dunk for the SEC, because the standard is, and that's what the SEC's lawyers are going to say today, Judge, the only thing we have to show at this hearing is that we have a plausible claim here. But with that said, I'm very optimistic that we have something big here.
How much does the Kraken settlement act as precedent here? Because I don't think they actually technically admitted wrongdoing, right? So They just basically settled and moved on. And that was, for people unclear, it's really staking as a service, right? We haven't really gotten any clarity on staking itself. If you go stake directly in the Ethereum contract, I haven't seen anybody really angry about that. It's when a third party does the staking for you. And certainly if they take a fee of some sort, then all of a sudden it's a securities offering of some sort. Is that?
Yeah. And in the crack, I mean, listen, Kraken thought they were buying peace. Let's all be honest, right? They thought they were buying peace. Here's $50 million because I'm going to have to spend $150 million in fees. And with the Kraken thing, even Joe Lubin came out of consensus saying that he thought it was a good decision by the SEC because the staking, Kraken, I guess they had a lot of discretion. I'm not an expert. You're probably better at it than I am, Scott.
They had enough discretion, I think, that people viewed them as.
If you have a situation, whereas Coinbase is more of just maybe the middleman, and there's no management, there's no discretion in the staking service, and so therefore it's a better case for crypto or for staking in the Coinbase situation than it was the Kraken situation. But that probably is for sure going to get denied. So I would be shocked. Even though I'm optimistic, I'd be shocked if the judge flat out just did not grants the motion to dismiss in whole. So I think our best case scenario is she says we go for it on the staking element because you can make a case that it's plausible that Coinbase's interaction somehow, they're relying on Coinbase. Not that they'll be successful, the SEC, but they can make a case plausible case versus these 13 tokens are per se outside the statutory reach of the SEC.
What's our worst case scenario today?
Worst case scenario is that she just didn't, I don't think she's going to decide today. Now, it's interesting. Usually you're going to give a judge about a month from the oral argument to where you see a decision. It could be 3 weeks, it could be 6 weeks. But sometimes judges, if they've already made up their mind by the briefing, then they have their opinion already done. And then they take the oral argument and they ask some pointed questions where they can fill in the gaps of their order. That could happen. And we could see a decision sooner than that. But worst case scenario is the judge says, she says some things that are bad for the SEC globally and what would be called dicta, where she makes these editorial comments of the SEC's conduct and their inconsistency and their lack of regulatory clarity and their regulation by enforcement, but says it's a fact-determined decision that I have to make. They could make a case that each one of these tokens is a security, so I'm going to allow it to go forward, get some discovery, and then she could rule at a summary judgment, sort of like Judge Torres did, where she finds that Solana on exchanges and Cardano on exchanges does not satisfy all of the prongs of Howey. So worst case scenario, it's denied and we move forward, and we have to have, Coinbase will spend $100 million, $200 million in discovery. There'll be 10 depositions on each side. We'll see lots of rulings on discoverable issues. And then in a year, 18 months, 2 years, we'll have a summary judgment decision.
I was going to say, but we'll be doing this for years.
Yeah.
And the Ripple case will remain the precedent, and it'll still be altcoin palooza.
Absolutely. And so I think the worst case scenario is there's nothing bad that's going to happen for crypto today. Nothing. Right. And her decision's not going to change anything for the negative, but it could change everything for the positive.
How often do we get a court case about our industry when there's only upsides?
Right. Absolutely. So it's good, but it's going to be interesting. I think we're going to see some good quotes. I think you're going to have lots of material, my friend, to talk about.
I can't wait. And dude, I know you got to go, so I'm gonna let you go a little early. I just want to tell people they've been asking where you can stream it. I don't know if you can stream it, but you can listen to it. So you can listen into the hearing live at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's in 36 minutes for those of you who are not in our time zone, by dialing 888-363-4749. That's 888-363-4749. The access code is 512-3533. You can find that on Meta Lawman's account. John, man, appreciate it. I know that you rushed it to get it in.
No, thanks. But let me just say, why am I here? And I haven't even promoted it much, but I sent out a Google form. I tweeted it out saying, if you want to be amicus as a Coinbase customer, and we got over 5,000 Coinbase customers who want to be heard in this case. So that's why I'm going on behalf of them. And I want the judge to see that there are customers who want to be heard at some point later in the case if she doesn't grant the motion to dismiss. Hopefully she grants the motion and I got nothing to do. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I Googled it. Here we are. It's from October. Thousands of Coinbase users sign up, potential amicus curiae in legal fight with SEC. This is you. And just for context, this is effectively what you did to create that groundswell for XRP. And many would argue is the reason that they won if you had not had this sort of voice for the customers, correct?
Some have said that. Maybe that's an overstatement. I don't know, but
I've said it. John's a legend, and we should all thank him. And you did it for nothing, man. You just did it for the love, right? That's why you got the brass knuckles on around your neck.
Absolutely. I'll loan them to the Coinbase lawyers today. All right.
Absolutely love it, man. Go to court and keep us updated. All right, man. I'll be closely tracking your X account.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Thanks, John. Bye. Wow, guys, absolutely huge day. I don't understand how this isn't the biggest topic of conversation in the industry, but I do really think that it was overshadowed largely by the ETF. Since we got a couple minutes before Chris is going to go on, first of all, I'm going to tell you guys, you can see up here, the Wolf of All Streets times DevvE. You can read the thing right down below. You know that I don't often take sponsors, but we've been meeting with them for a very long time. Talking to them is a brand new layer one. It's the most regulatory compliant in the world. They've licensed literally everywhere in every jurisdiction they can operate. And the main point being that it's environmentally friendly and solves all the ESG issues for everybody who has them, whether they agree with them or whether they don't. Really big issue, certainly all over Europe. But, some stats, 8 million TPS with sub-second finality. I love this one. 1/3 billionth the energy and CO2 of Bitcoin, third-party ISO certified. 1/10 millionth the cost of Ethereum. Compliant charting solution for all industries in any legal jurisdiction. And this is all extensive U.S. and global patents. We're talking about the former head of the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency, the guy who built the Kindle, the former CIO of Starbucks, the former president of Universal Pictures, head of research at Cointelegraph. Those are the people who are building this thing. We don't have an affiliate link. I don't have any upside in you clicking on it. It literally is just the link to their site and everything down below. But this, in my mind, is going to be one of the biggest narratives of the coming cycle. And I think they're going to be huge, obviously competing with all the other layer ones. But just ask you guys to check them out right down below. Link, of course, in the description. Also, before I bring on Chris, there's one other thing I got to talk about today. It's going to take about 2.5 minutes. You might puke when we're watching it, but I got to show you Jamie Dimon's interview on CNBC really quick. Here we go, guys. This is the CEO of JP Morgan. Bitcoin triggered him so much, he said the word shit. Here we go.
Cryptocurrencies, there are two types. There's a cryptocurrency which might actually do something. Think of a cryptocurrency as an embedded smart contract in it, and that we can use it to buy and sell real estate and move data. That may have value.
The idea of tokenizing things.
Tokenizing things that you do something with. And then there's one which does nothing. I call it the pet rock, the Bitcoin or something like that. And so on the Bitcoin, there's, first of all, and I'm not trying to make a joke here. There are use cases, AML, fraud, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, sex trafficking. Those are real use cases, and you see it being used for hundreds, maybe 50 or $100 billion a year for that. That is the end use case. Everything else is people train among themselves. So
speculate.
Yeah. Now, okay. Now, my last statement, the last time I ever talk about Bitcoin, is I defend your right to do Bitcoin. I think, it's okay. I don't want to tell you what to do. So my personal advice would be don't get involved. But I don't want to tell any one of you what to do. It's a free country.
What do you make of BlackRock? What do you make of the other firms, the BlackRocks of the world that obviously, and Larry Fink changed his view of this, obviously. Yeah. And maybe he changed his view because you think he genuinely believes in Bitcoin or believed it because he thinks that there's a marketplace for it and he wants to be part of that market. But what do you think of there's about a dozen big financial companies, Fidelity included.
Number one, I don't care. So just please stop talking about this shit. And I don't know what he would say about.
He just said, I don't care. Please stop talking about this shit after going on a 1.5-minute rant about it. But here we go.
Blockchain versus currencies that do something versus Bitcoin that does nothing. And maybe that's not different than me. But, this is what makes a market. People have opinions. This is the last time I'm ever going to state my opinion.
Yeah, right.
Doesn't do anything either.
Yeah, but gold's limited in supply.
So is Bitcoin.
And it's been used. So you think so, huh?
I do.
I think there's a good chance that when we get to that 20 million Bitcoins,
they go to 42.
No, that Satoshi's going to come on there, laugh hysterically, go quiet, all Bitcoin's going to be erased.
I think, man.
How the hell do you know it's going to stop at 21? I've never met one person who told me they know for a fact they take that
mathematically, it can't happen because by the last one will be mined in 2150, and it gets harder and harder every time there's another halving. But Jamie, looking back over,
you guys do what you want, I'll do what I want.
As for gold, you can the 6 characteristics that make gold valuable for 4,000 years. They're all present in Bitcoin. That's all I'll say. And I love you, and I don't want to. And I also don't want to be a.
Joe, you may be right.
Yeah.
I don't own gold either. So okay.
That's what I mean.
Couple of quick final questions.
Guys, in case you're wondering, Satoshi says you can do Bitcoin, but that you shouldn't give a shit. I mean. It's incredible to me, just for context, that the most powerful players on the planet in finance are literally having to talk about Bitcoin every single day. He's at Davos at the World Economic Forum, sitting out in the freezing ass cold and has to answer for Bitcoin for 2.5 minutes. I love that they didn't ask him why JP Morgan is the AP for BlackRock and other ETFs, but I guess they just let that one slip. Guys, we had John Deaton, legend number 1. Now we've got legend number 2. Christopher Inks, Texas West Capital, here to tell you what the hell is going on in the markets. How are you doing, man? What do you think of Jamie Dimon? Do you think you like him?
Man, he is a funny little man, ain't he? I mean, people free, he's right. It's what makes a market, right? Doing
I
what
do
you
like that
think
he said
and whatnot.
that.
But
I give him credit.
Man, him, but just with the I think I hate to say it, but I think he's just old. I think he's just old. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand what Bitcoin is or how it comes to be really. But he's willing to make money on it, like you said, AP, right? So he's gonna make money on it. He's not stupid, but and then he'll say, "Oh, it's the business. It's not me personally. I don't like it. I don't think you should be able to." But it's the business that's deciding to do this. Our company. So, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. All right, we can move on from Jamie Hypocrite Dimon. I mean, listen, he can hate it and also want to make money and let his company do what his customers demand. That makes sense. That's right. I'll give him that. You know what I mean? I love that they triggered him enough. They said, let's stop asking me about this shit. This is the last time I'm going to answer it. He's going to be talking about it like literally to his wife in bed tonight. I'm quite sure. It's Bitcoin's living rent free in JP Morgan's head. All right, man, let's look at some charts. What are we looking at today? It's been a pretty obviously muted response after I think the ETF hearing. People expected a God candle up to 60,000. A lot of people thought we dumped to 32 and we just ended up doing nothing.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, like I tweeted out last week, these are, securities, right? They've got settlements. GBTC is T1, T+1, and I think pretty much everybody else is T+2. So anything, I mean, so you're going to see the outflows, you're going to see the selling going on. In terms of the ETFs there, within a day or so, of last week of it going live. So last Thursday, so a day Friday. But it wasn't until, yesterday and today, you start seeing any of the buying being reflected in those ETFs. So, we have to remember it's not just spot. It's not just futures. It's not just whatever options, whatever's available out there that makes the market, right? It's the culmination of all of it. And so people are going to, trade based on a lot of times on what they think the charts are showing them. And if charts are showing them that they're selling, they're going to think, oh, it's selling, not thinking, oh God, when's actually the buying going to show up in the ETF. So, but
just
there's
really
been
quickly, I don't want to interrupt you before you go into the chart, but just so people know, I mean, they did $10 billion in volume in the first 3 days. I mean, this is astounding interest. We all know that volume is what brings interest, right? The traders are going to come if there's volume here. And from last I saw on the first 3 days, it was about 850 million net inflows. Yeah. And you guys have to remember that in my mind, you can view the ETF as one thing, as Grayscale, even though it's now an ETF, as another, because there's been people who have just been waiting to get out of GBTC, who are trading that discount, or have literally been locked in there because there were no redemptions for years, who are literally just going to sell it and not necessarily go into other ones. So it's skewed. Yeah. To me, it's skewed to the downside. If that GBTC unlock happened and we didn't have any ETFs to buy, we'd still see those same outflows. So those outflows don't even count in my mind. And this is 800 million net of that. So it's pretty big.
Yeah, exactly. I think everybody, made way too big a deal. Again, it was kind of like, when we talked about GBTC just over a year ago, when it was hitting that bottom, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, it's gonna die off. They're gonna sell it off because everything that's going on, they need to sell it, so that they can, pay back all these issues they're gonna have because they're going to court, with the whole Gemini thing and all that, the lending and all that." And back then I said, no, I said it's crazy. I said, this is the bottom here. It's going to go up from here because it makes no damn sense. You're making $500-600 million a year on fees. The worst they're going to do is sell it as a whole somewhere else. They're not going to, sell off the Bitcoin. It didn't make any sense. And so, that same emotional reaction then I think was the same real emotional reaction that you see from people today with it. And, at the end of the day, basically hit the top of the channel that we've had on here forever. R2 pivot on the daily, pulled back to the daily pivot in this ascending support here. And I mean, that's all we've done so far. We've got locally here, we've got some hidden bullish divergence here. We've got slightly higher highs on the lows here. We've got slightly lower lows. So we've had some, I've just got one line here, but there's a couple of different hidden bullish divergences along the line here that have kind of given this higher and higher. But right now, the pullback's in 3 waves. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, if we're to zoom in on this, it's 3 waves. And so that means potentially corrective. Let me see if I can get this thing to show up. There we go. So potentially corrective. So, if we're breaking out up here above, what's this swing high up here? Right around 47,000. I mean, if we're doing that, ultimately, this just becomes 3 waves down right here, and we should be heading up higher. So, right now we're just sideways here. We're trying to get through. I've been saying we've got to get through this 44,000 area here. If we can pop through this impulsively, should carry us up here to around upper 45s, lower 46s. And if we're getting up there, we should break out. Now, if we don't, though, if we do happen to go down, I'm just taking, doing it easily here. I'm looking at the S1 pivot on the daily right now, which gets us at the bottom end of this low volume node, right there at around 38.4 or so. And then a secondary target a little bit further down around 34.5 at that S2 pivot. I mean, we could
Dips to buy.
Yeah. I mean, we could get down here to 30,000 maybe. It's not that it's impossible, but I think with the way things are still going, I don't have such a big conviction that we actually get down. I know people want to get down there. People have been waiting since we broke out here, and they haven't bought. They've been looking for that pullback. And so now they're really excited, thinking, oh my gosh, we're going to get that chance of the pullback. But here's the thing. If we pull back to that, most of the people waiting to get in there are not going to get in there. They're going to be too scared. They're going to go, oh my God, it was almost 50,000 and now it's 30,000. No, this is going to keep going down lower. And, it's just human psychology. It's emotion. It's the way we all, always are. So.
Can I present a slightly bearish case just so we have some balance?
No, you can't.
Okay, cool.
No bears allowed. No.
I want to look at the weekly really quick, right? We've seen in every basically halving cycle that we get this, this is the 69,000 top all the way down to this 15,460 bottom. Usually it's earlier in the cycle, to be fair, but you usually get the 61.8% retracement back up before a pretty big move that, that 30-40% correction everybody talks about. In the case of 2020, much lower. This actually wicked right into that 61.8% fib up to the 65%, the golden pocket, and clearly at a key resistance. And also, at the same time, by the way, I'm now seeing people, which happened 2 weeks ago, but talking about this golden cross here on the weekly, which for me is lagging into the large time frame. But there is a golden cross of the 50 and the 200 on the weekly, which would be more bullish. And then on the 4 hour, we're back below the 200 and 50 MA and the 100 if you have it up there. And that hasn't happened since October, right? The last time we were even testing these things was October, but you weren't even below the 200 since September, and a bearish retest sort of there. And then on the daily, you're now below the 50 MA for the first time since September. Yeah. Doesn't mean you won't get rejected, but those are the things that are giving me a little bit of pause that we might just see that like wick below 40 type of thing that would get people really scared.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not that it's impossible. That's why we have our levels, and for me, I'm looking for that impulsive breakout above that 44 to say, okay, we're probably going to break out higher. Right. Now I don't have the full chart here, but this was a chart that I had, probably Q1 or Q2 of last year. I'd posted. You can check, whoever wants to check my timeline on Twitter. Sweet. But I'd had these green boxes, and I've talked about the steps in the breaking out above the MA and the cloud and all these things moving out of a bear market. And every one of these, prior to the halving, we reached the top of the cloud there. Every one of them, right? And a little bit above. So I was, the target area has been hit of what I gave back there at the beginning of last year, basically. Now the question just is that it? We pull back now into halving, or do we continue to push up here? Right now, higher time frames, daily, weekly stuff like that. Market structure is fine. It hasn't broken down yet. So until it does, I mean, you can prepare for lower, but I think anybody, screaming out, oh my God, it's got to go down lower now with any confirmation. That's how you got hurt, right? That's how you got hurt when you were waiting for the pullback to 30,000 when we got the breakout, and we didn't get that. We talked about that at that time and talked about how we're probably getting, that accumulation as we rallied. So, I don't know. I see a lot of really emotional takes out there, a lot of, oh, this is definitely happening without confirmation. And those same people, unfortunately, for new traders, those that are inexperienced, are going to see. And if they get it right, they've got a chance to get it right, and it goes down, they'll be beating their chest, going, look, I told you. And new traders are going to see that, and they're going to go, oh, yeah, look, they knew what they were talking about. And all it was a guess, no confirmations. And that's the concerning part as a trader. You don't sit in here for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and just kind of guess and continue to stay in. You can't do that. So, yes, possibly down lower, but I'm looking for confirmation.
Yeah, like I said, man, it's me going, hey, if there's going to be a dip, where should I bid this? It's nothing to do with shorting or thinking we're going into a bear market. Just saying, hey, if there's a little more downside, where should I be bid?
Yeah, and so here's the other thing real quick here. The weekly on the BLX here is right there around that 34,500 area. So, I mean, initially, everything else aside, if we were to get rejected here and pull back, I mean, that's my first thought is that pivot area, and that should hold. And if that holds, holy crap, we're running the R5. We're running, what's this, at least 100 and almost 117,000. I'm willing to bet that we probably do that if we do pull back to the weekly pivot here and then break out higher again. So,
why not?
I mean, grand scheme of things, it's a pullback, guys. This is the bull market. You're going to get caught up in the short little movements of Bitcoin, lose a lot of money along the way, miss a lot of profits along the way, all because you're trying to be cute on the short time frames. Keep the bigger picture when it comes to Bitcoin.
What else you got up there? We told Chris, we said, listen, three best ideas, which was our original ethos. So we're going to get them now.
So yesterday we had some fun. We had some fun with Save, right? We had some fun with Spirit Airlines. But if you look at the chart,
Spirit Airlines, did you see that Spirit Airlines and the meme coin Bonk had the same market cap yesterday after the drop on Spirit? I don't know which one's a bigger meme. You and I joked, right? Yeah.
It's got to be, right? But if we're serious about it, I can get 5 waves down here as a diagonal. It's like just 5 waves coming down here. Potentially bullish SFP here. This is the monthly.
Right. So it has to close the month above that line. Yeah.
Yeah. If it closes above it, right. And potential here on the weekly. Definitely here on the daily, which we've got this here. And by the way, each one of these are printing bullish divergence on RSI here. There's your daily, there's your weekly, and there's your monthly going all the way back to March of 2020. Dropping on down to the 4 hour. Again, we ran the S pivots here. We're coming up. Look at the volume on the drop and look on the next candle. Huge amount of volume coming back up, completely reversed from selling to demand and control. A little bit of pullback today. We'll see if we can get some further up there. But again, really oversold. Zooming into the 1 hour, gap down a little bit here. So, we want to watch it, but I think there's a good potential, especially on these weekly and monthly time frames here. I would be watching that because we may be creating a low down here. And if we are, I think easily $46, $47 is pretty easy. I think there's a good chance
nothing inherently happened to Spirit here, right? I didn't dig so deeply into it. It's just that the deal with JetBlue effectively got blocked for antitrust and this dumps to hell, but it didn't make Spirit a worse business overnight. It just meant the deal didn't go through, correct?
Yeah, it's just what everybody's expecting didn't happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, I'm watching this good. We nailed Dollar General on the show. What was it, a few months back? We got I got PayPal, a little bit after that, I guess, there on Twitter. And just a lot of these that I've been finding these bottoms here over the last, year and a half. And I'm watching this one. And I think there's something to watch here. I don't know that it happens today, but I want to see how the weekly closes. If we can get a bullish SFP on the weekly, I definitely want to watch that monthly close. But man, when you're getting down that low time frame, I mean, like this is a 15-minute right here. You can call 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ABC. I mean, so that's a 1 and a 2 there. If that low was in potentially here, 5 waves up will get us $13. Almost fills in this fair value gap here all the way up here to, $15.20. So I think there's a lot of potential here. We'll see if we get it. It's early, but I think if you're looking for some kind of play that you can sit in for a while, this is potentially one. And so just pay attention. I had to choose. I like Coin, Riot, all those CLSK.
Same concept. So yeah.
PGH. Yeah. When I'm looking at all these, so I picked Coin to show today. This is the 3-day chart here, just to give us a little bit easier look at it. It looks like we got a 1, 2, 1, 2, and then out of this, 3 of 3 up here, looks like we've got a 38.2 pullback, wave 4, ABC. So if we're breaking out above 161.38, we should be good to go up here to 241 as an initial target, 295 as a secondary target, just to kind of get this wave 3 of the larger wave 3 done. And so when you're talking about Bitcoin, if this happens to work out here, the idea that Bitcoin's going to pull back, 30,000 or something doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? Because Bitcoin and coin should both be rallying. It doesn't mean they're going to do the exact same movements, but they should be rallying together. You shouldn't be getting Coinbase flying up and Bitcoin crashing. Yeah.
Imagine if Coinbase gets good news against the SEC today. Woo. Lord of mercy.
The craziest thing would be that the judge says, okay, yeah, it's dismissed now because it's on the pleadings today. But that's really unlikely to happen. But man, if it did, I could see Coinbase and Bitcoin just like shooting up like stupid. Not saying it's going to happen again, but man, if it did,
love it.
They should have
love to see it though. Love to see it. What else you got there?
And then I've got STG USDT here, and this is Stargate. I don't know what it does, but the chart looks good.
But it's provocative.
So we've got this initial 1-2 here that gives us a minimum expected wave 3 target up around $4.61. Minimum expected, of course. These things are probably have blow off tops. All these charts with Bitcoin, with Bitcoin and the altcoins and whatnot. So it'll probably go up higher, but nonetheless, minimum at least at 461. Locally here, I think we've probably got a 1 and a 2 here, and then this is 1, 2, 3, 4, probably getting a 5 up here. So we might see a little bit further up and a pullback, and that pullback is the one where you'd want to buy. And again, that would just get us something like let's do something maybe like this: 1, 2. Take this down a couple here. And then right here, we'd get you this more interior 2 type thing. But yeah, I think we probably get a pullback. Let me see, what's this rally so far? This gets us up here at about, it's about 70.5 right now. It's about 70.5 right now. You could potentially head up here to 78.6, which is about 60, almost 65 cents. And then I'd look for a pullback probably down here around this 56 cent area. And then somewhere around there is where I'd be looking for that reversal and to go long on that. And then you just kind of hold on for a while, because even locally here with this first interior 1, 2 here, that'll give you a 3. Minimally up here at about $1.26 or so, 5 up at around $1.58, which gets us just beyond the all-time high there. I think is that the all-time high there. So I think there's a lot of potential upside here, and this is one of the better ones. I think we're closer to getting the pullback for a bigger move up. So again, if you're looking for an easier way to make some money, that's how you do it. A lot of people want to come in and they want to day trade their way to wealth. Most people don't do that. Most people can't. It's a lot of emotion, a lot of impatience. The easier way to do it is to find the lows, find the good pullbacks, find the bottoms, get in there and just let it sit for a bit, for a longer, positional trade rather than just some kind of day trade. So
I got two things to do here, Chris. 2 things to do. I'm going to make you help me. Okay. In a minute, I'm going to look at ETH just because I want to. But our new thing here is we're giving away $100 at the end of every stream.
Oh, wow.
My money. It's good faith to the community. Of course.
Can I get in on that?
Maybe it brings more people. So great. But so what we're going to do, we're going to ask a stupid question. And I'm going to make you choose the best comment. And the person who wins just has to email mike@thewolfofallstreets.io. We are going to check that it's actually you. But before I go into ETH, to give people a chance to comment, this is the question of the day to win $100 in the comments. Who is Satoshi Nakamoto and why do you think so? All right. So who is Satoshi Nakamoto and why do you think so? I'm going to look at ETH while you guys look at the comments, but who is Satoshi Nakamoto and why do you think so? Is it Jamie Dimon? Is it Larry Fink? Is it the NSA? Is it Krusty the Clown? I have no idea. It's up to you guys, but go ahead and throw those on. And I just want to tell you guys, yes, I've been a huge ETH homer. It's not because I believe in the tech or that I was there for the ICO or that I care. Guys, this is the weekly ETH chart. I'm just going to tell you once again, it's only been oversold on RSI 4 times in history. Those were all bottoms. We have bullish divergence with oversold RSI, huge pop on the ETF, which we got a hint of when there was the fake news, right at resistance now, major descending resistance. RSI has already broken the exact same resistance, and this bullishly engulfed 2.5 months of price action in a single candle. 2 months of price action in a single candle. I am just really bullish on ETH. ETH USD still pushing through that sort of 215, 225, 16 level. I don't know, man. ETH just looks really good. All right, now we're going to start reading some of your guys' comments. I can't get them all. Dr. Craig Wright. Oh, my God. Elizabeth Warren's evil twin. Texas West, it's you.
Oh, it's me.
His love of Scott Melker, his love of altcoins hides his true Bitcoin maxi life. Elizabeth, we got a few. Elizabeth Warren, Gary Gensler, Jamie David, and Clayton Epstein. Yusko says it's the NSA. Someone said SpongeBob. I wish I could see these all. They're coming in so fast. It's SpongeBob SquarePants because it can't be proven to be real. Emmy Melker, Satoshi. Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, we got Chuck Norris because he got sick of cold. Adam Beck. That could just be true. Jamie Dimon and Gary Gensler's creepy uncle. You're gonna have to just choose one, man. You can close your eyes. We can scroll. You can tell me.
Let me see here.
It could be you, man.
It could be me, right? Yeah, we'll just go with me. No,
Gary Gensler.
I think. Let me see here.
Stick.
I think, man, oh man, Epstein was crazy answer. Is that where he got all his money from? Let's go ahead and go with man, just because I hate the guy. Let's go with Gary Gensler.
All right, who said it? Now I got to find who said it. Can you say the name?
Find who the first one to say that was. I saw a few in there.
You just got to pick a name. I'm putting you on the spot. They'll love you. Don't worry.
Do what?
You just got to say the name.
Okay, let me find the name here. Mike.
Is it just Mike?
Fire Gary Gensler.
Wow, it's Mike. And Mike, to get your $100, which we'll send you immediately in crypto, you have to email Mike at thewolfofallstreets.io. You're basically just emailing yourself. Guys, we're going to do this every single day at the end of the stream. Maybe 3 more of you will show up. That would be awesome. But you might remember in the last bull market, Emmy and I did this pretty much every day because it's fun. It's fun. So, Greg, congratulations to Mike. Someone says to set up. We just chose Mike, and he's sending himself some money. No, is
that?
No, it's a different guy. Different guy.
I'm about to say,
same
wait a
name,
minute,
different guy, same name. I'm just trolling, All right, guys, that's everything that we've got for you today. Of course, check out DevvE down in the description. Amazing to have a great sponsor. Again, please follow Texas West Capital. I'm gonna probably go buy Spirit Airlines today, to be honest. I wasn't thinking about it yesterday. I'm not going to buy Bonk, but I might buy Spirit Airlines. Yeah. So awesome, guys. Thank you so much, everybody. Of course, we do have Twitter Spaces in 20 minutes. And for those who missed it, the Coinbase hearing starts at 10. You can go back. I don't have it in front of me again, but there was the phone number there that you could dial in and listen to it. Maybe we'll even stream a bit.
Make sure you're listening to it. Yep.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be huge. I'm just gonna listen to all the lawyers and see their takes and get the hot takes. The easier way to do it. So just follow John Deaton, guys. That's all we got for you today. Chris, thank you very much. See you guys soon. Peace. Congratulations, Mike.
That's dope.